To tickle your imagination.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back once again. And again, it's my privilege to introduce the commander of 51A, Rick Houck.
Thank you all for joining us today. We have a very fun mission to talk about, obviously, and we're going to enjoy sharing some of it with you. Briefly, let me introduce again the crew. To my right is pilot Dave Walker, and to his right, Dr. Joe Allen, Dr. Anna Fisher, and Commander Dale Gardner. You're aware that we had a scrub the first day due to upper level wind shears, and even though it was a beautiful blue sky on that day, it was the right thing to do to cancel for the day, and we went back to the quarters and relaxed and got up the next morning, and 7:15 Eastern Time, here we go. This is the second flight of Discovery. Always a beautiful sight as it goes through its roll program to point us downrange.
This is a few scenes of some of the things we do on orbit that don't generally get shown. This is a fairly mundane operation, but very important one, called the On-Orbit Flight Control System Checkout, which Rick and I did. Gives you a chance to see what the flight deck looks like a little bit on orbit, rather like a large airliner.
Like a large airliner.
There it can be seen blinking. And from there, we're going to show you a little bit of the middeck. This actually was taken by Dr. Allen with Captain Houck pushing him along as he held our movie camera in front of him, going down into the middeck. And you can see the portable foot restraints that we attached to enable us to stay put, our treadmill that we use for exercise, and some of the lockers. That particular one that's open contains in-flight maintenance equipment, which Eagle Electronics used. And over on the starboard bulkhead of the middeck, you can see the sleep accommodations, which I think I'll let Dr. Fisher discuss a little bit about the rest of the middeck area.
Well, in this particular sequence, we're showing how we prepare a meal. And we divided these tasks up among all the crew members. Dale usually wound up doing breakfast because nobody was quick enough for him. Making meals is a fairly easy task on orbit. All you had to do is essentially like, it's very good, essentially like backpacking. You essentially add water to the food, and it was very good. I'll let Rick describe what we're doing here.
Well, at the risk of endorsing a product, that's an interesting physical demonstration on orbit of the fact that things really are weightless.
That's how the crew was rewarded when we did something properly.
Right.
Rick would release another handful.
Since Anna did more things right than anybody, she got most of them.
By now, you've all seen astronauts and objects floating around inside an orbiting spacecraft, seemingly free of Earth's gravitational field. But these images are misleading. In fact, these objects are actually not floating, but in a state of continuous freefall. Any object in freefall experiences microgravity, or weightlessness, which occurs when the object falls towards the Earth. But how do you replicate microgravity here on Earth? NASA Glenn has been conducting microgravity experiments since the 1960s in drop towers like this. These facilities rely on free fall of the experiment to produce a microgravity environment. Here, NASA can test experiments in a reduced gravity environment, similar to orbiting in space.
In this sequence are shown experiments of simulated weightlessness, or zero-G. To produce this weightless state, an aircraft, in this case a Convair C-131, is flown through a Capillarian trajectory. Starting at 12,000 feet, the aircraft goes into a 10-degree dive until a speed of 250 knots is reached. After a pull-up at 2.5 G, a 35-degree climb results in 15 seconds at 0 G. The maneuver ends with a 35-degree dive and pull-out at 10,500 feet. In these experiments, you can see the disorientation resulting when an animal is suddenly placed in a weightless state. Cats, when dropped under normal conditions, will invariably rotate their bodies longitudinally in midair and land on their feet. This automatic reflex action is almost completely lost under weightlessness. Pigeons normally keep their bodies in a horizontal axis while in flight. These 0G birds have lost their feeling for what is up or down and point in all directions, some even flying upside down.
Decided that there's no need for parabolic flight, so as of this summer we'll be shutting down all the capabilities that NASA has for parabolic flight. It's losing a national capability, unfortunately. The only way right now that we can simulate the gravity on Moon, Mars, asteroids is parabolic flight.
It's hard to imagine how big the space station is inside, but if you picture one of the biggest airliners, like something the size of a 747, if you had that entire internal volume of a 747 for only 6 people.
ORAD's pattern recognition tracking technology is undoubtedly the most cost-effective and simplest tracking system available.
Okay, let me try and give you a demonstration of the approaches, how it performs clear surface tension.
This view, albeit pixelated, is coming from MPC, or Multi-Protocol System, or HD video that is being downlinked by Chris Hadfield of the 2 spacewalkers that they set up shop and they sent
To tickle your imagination.